Moving forward with Priority Region 3, where we are looking at helping people and firms deal with residual risks and natural disasters. We had discussed started the discussion on index-based insurance and its benefits overall in terms of operation and engagement of the insurance buyers. There are some issues as well. Let's read that here after I bring up the pointer. But index-based insurance also suffers from basis risk, the difference between payments contract holders receive and the losses they suffer. So based on index like rainfall, winds, heat, whatever, you make some payments and the actual losses suffered may obviously not depend completely on just those variables. This means that they may receive a payment and lose nothing, but they could also receive nothing and have large losses, which would be catastrophic for those close to subsistence level. So when exploring index-based insurance products, it is important to invest in high-quality indices that aim to minimize basis risk. So that's the baseline on which the payments are being made based on various indices like rainfall, wind speeds. Plus, maybe these are not stationary, that with climate change, those indices themselves and their impacts on what you're insuring is changing. So maybe the basis risk has to evolve over time in a reasonable way. Ensure the contract holder fully understands the limitations of the index. Explore the possibility of covering large groups, for example, a community or an agriculture cooperative, which makes the basis risk smaller and easier to manage. Of course, you kick the can down the road in that sense that you are dealing with a community or a cooperative, and then the members have to be dealt with by that index-based insurance coverage. Further actions and targets, some targets and indicators. Stress testing of systems completed, including delivery mechanisms for helping people and firms. Contingency plan to scale up social protection systems developed and approved. Delivery mechanisms in place, such as bank accounts for all households in the registry. Share of population covered by social protection or in social registry, including potential beneficiaries in case of scale up. Okay. There is a concept of adaptive social protection which is relevant here as well. Adaptive social protection systems have proven to be critical for channeling resources to those who are most in need due to climate stress. Okay, so you cannot have fixed index-based protection. It has not even just income-based, but it may need other indicators such as disasters suffered. You may be not at the economic threshold, but you may suffer climate stressor. As shown in figure 12, which we'll look at next, adaptive systems can respond quickly to disasters or slow onset climate crises. Okay, so slow onset is the background warming, background reduction in rainfall, increasing humidity or decreasing humidity, water stress, and so on and so forth. Vertical expansion of such a adaptive system, scaling up or providing additional resources to regular beneficiaries. For example, all beneficiaries of Fiji's Poverty Benefit Scheme received exceptional transfers after Tropical Cyclone Winston in 2016. Horizontal expansion, so scales going up in the socio-economic ranks versus covering different groups. Scaling out or providing support to additional beneficiaries during bad times or years. For example, the number of beneficiaries of Ethiopia's Productive Safety Net program depends on rainfall. Okay, here is the figure. Adaptive social protection, horizontal and vertical expansion, looking at benefit amount going up here and population being covered going up here. So you have core beneficiaries of the social protection and a regular benefit amount. So this is the regular social protection system. When you want to cover more populations, those not in receipt of regular benefits but affected by a shock, so that's horizontal expansion. And here temporarily increased benefit amount, so that's the vertical expansion, which may cover the same population, but the amount may have to be increased temporarily for whatever reasons. Coming closer to the end, strengthen social protection systems, especially delivery systems and prearranged finance. Adaptive social protection requires more administrative and financial resources than regular social protection system, because you have to track these things to see more coverage, increased payouts. A recent World Bank report identifies several priorities and investments that go above and beyond unusual for regular beyond business as usual for regular social protection. Sorry, I'm fumbling this somehow. Let me read it again. A recent World Bank report identifies several priorities and investments that go above and beyond business as usual for regular social protection. Generated by the unique demands of building household resilience to systemic shocks, these priorities fall into 4 building blocks: programs, data and information, and finance. Under programs, to be adaptive, social protection systems need to build resilience by supporting preparedness, coping, and adaptation. This includes actions before and in the immediate aftermath of disasters or environmental shocks. Data, and we also have institutional arrangement and partnership as the 4th block here. Data and information, the design and implementation of social protection systems must be underpinned by data and information. This also needs to be easily available to respond quickly after a disaster when timeliness is critical and data collection is difficult. Finance, to be scaled up when required, social protection system must have resources available. So reserves have to be there in terms of finances, both of their own and in coordination with the Ministry of Finance. For a timely and effective delivery, these resources must be pre-arranged. The 4th block, building block, institutional arrangements and partnerships. Multi-sectoral institutional arrangements and partnerships, especially between government and humanitarian crisis management agencies, are critical for an efficient response. The use of modern tools and systems can make delivery systems more flexible, able to react quicker and more resilient to shock, ensuring their reliability during a crisis. Okay, modern tools and systems. How do you define them? Well, we'll see here. To make adaptive social protection systems possible, governments must ensure that social registry is sufficiently inclusive and includes more than the regular social protection beneficiaries. These registries can build on unique and universal identification systems with appropriate oversight and accountability to make sure it is used for the correct purpose. So governance issues matter there. So India has this Aadhaar system, and then there are other things happening like linking the Aadhaar card to a more of a tax-based PAN card and so on. Electronic digital payment mechanisms are robust enough to get cash to households even during a crisis when power may be out for extended periods and roads may be cut off for even longer. So you may have a digitized banking systems, online payments. If power is out, then how can this finance be accessed, and so on. Those are critical issues as well. Finally, coming to COVID-19 spotlight, exiting the COVID-19 crisis more resilient than before. This is before COVID has, now we are officially out of COVID, even though it's still lingering in several places. A few months into the COVID-19 crisis, almost all countries have boosted their social protection systems to help their population manage the pandemic and consequences of needed containment measures. So there were jobs lost, reduced incomes, reduced availability of drugs, transportation, etc., mobility. However, this experience has shown that existing systems are not always designed to quickly increase the number of beneficiaries or deliver exceptional transfer to usual beneficiaries. Interventions in most countries include determining which additional beneficiaries need to be covered, executing the transfers through existing or new delivery mechanisms, and financing the cost of these transfers. If designed and implemented sustainably, and if efforts are maintained over long term, any improvements made during the COVID-19 crisis could improve all social protection systems, social protection systems' capacity to scale up quickly and efficiently next time countries are affected by a major shock, including a climate-related one. How did we do under COVID management, and what lessons did we learn? These will keep coming out over time to see what lessons are worthy of keeping and what are the mistakes that we should correct quickly. This includes, for example, creating and maintaining household registries and electronic payment mechanisms. Very nice idea. How many more do I have? Wow, I do have a few more. So maybe I should stop this podcast here and have another podcast. I thought I could finish this here, but this is already gone for about 11 minutes. So I'll conclude in the next one. False promise in the previous podcast, but hey, we're all learning here, right? Okay, let me stop this here.